Hi, this is Shan from Happy's Training. Just doing another video as part of a series for continuous directed change. And we are looking at our emotional and spiritual well-being. And we're looking at some principles that are really helpful to improve our relationship with self. And the two principles we're going to look at next are acceptance and gratitude. So again, I'm just reading from the training course that I've put together in the hope that it will actually be helpful for somebody. God knows if anyone's going to look at this, but I'm putting it out there anyway. So, acceptance. Of course, there's no formula for success, except perhaps an unconditional acceptance of life and what it brings. Acceptance is not weakness. Acceptance does not mean you're resigned, passive, or helpless. Acceptance is the courage to tell the truth to yourself about how things really are. It's about acknowledgement and the courage to stop pretending or resisting. So often it's our resistance to what is that causes difficulty and pain and stops us from making changes. Acceptance of what is can create calmness, clarity, and enables us to cope with situations in a much healthier way. Some situations are fairly easy to accept as, yep, I really am stuck in this massive motorway tailback. By accepting this is happening, it enables us to acknowledge the frustration and pain, accept that, yeah, I will miss my meeting. Yes, I will have to spend several hours in the car. So, okay, I'm going to phone work and home and let people know. I'm going to dig out a blanket, put on my favourite podcast and allow myself to relax. And then I even find myself being grateful that I'm not the one in the accident that caused the tailback, that I have a home to go to and a job. That there's not much I can do about that tailback, but by accepting it, I can change my attitude, which is going to afford me to make grace a peace of mind and comfort, than allowing myself to stew in frustration and denial, going, why is this happening to me? I'm feeling rubbish, and maybe telling myself that, oh, I will make that meeting. You know, acceptance, a lot of things, if we can't change them, the only thing we have power over is changing our attitude towards them. Some situations, such as the loss of a job, a long-term illness, or the death of a loved one, can be much harder to come to terms with and may involve time and patience. It is thought that any big loss, big or small, we move through the 5 stages of grief: denial, bargaining, anger, depression, and finally, acceptance. For a small loss, this can take a few minutes. But for a huge life-changing loss, this process may take months or even years. It's the willingness to engage in the process and experience all of your feelings and a desire to reach a place of acceptance that's important and that can save us from staying stuck. There are numerous techniques and ideas that can help us with acceptance. Mindfulness has been proven to be hugely beneficial for many reasons. It can be extremely useful in enabling us to increase our self-awareness, feel our feelings, and accept life on life's terms. There's plenty of information online and classes popping up everywhere that show us, and we've done a little bit more about mindfulness in talking about relaxation in previous videos. Another thing that can be really helpful on just a very practical thing is the Serenity Prayer that's been adopted by the 12-step movement, but obviously you don't need to have addiction issues to make use of it. So the Serenity Prayer goes like this: God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So saying this prayer to yourself when you find yourself in a difficult situation can be really helpful. Oftentimes, we'll find that we cannot change a situation. The only thing we can change is our attitude. I cannot change the fact that I'm stuck in traffic, but I don't have to let it frustrate me. I cannot change the fact that my boss is a bully, but I can change what I choose to do about it. So obviously, I hope that is helpful. I mean, it's just a principle that can help us to improve our mental health and our emotional well-being in the long term. So it might be something that you want to have a think about. And now we're just going to have a little look at gratitude. So they're quite different principles, but I'm putting them together in the same video because, well, why not? So gratitude turns what we have into enough. That's a quote by Melody Beattie. I will put some YouTube videos in the link. So I'm going to read from this as well. Acknowledgement, appreciation, gratefulness, praise, recognition, thankfulness. Adopting an attitude of gratitude is thought to be one of the most effective ways of improving well-being and happiness levels. Again, there is robust scientific evidence to suggest that gratitude improves your mental, physical, and emotional health. It takes relatively little effort and works at any age. So if we look at, when we look back at what we looked about with neuroplasticity and neural programming, if we are in the habit, and again, what we've spoken about before is we're wired to survive, not thrive. So our brains naturally pay attention to threat and things that are going wrong. We don't naturally pay attention to things that are going well. Some of us are more grow up in homes maybe where that's more of a habit, or are more sort of genetically predisposed to notice things that are going well. Those of us that perhaps have ADHD might find ourselves quite often noticing all the things that are going wrong. And again, when that neural programming happens, it can become a habit and it can become our default to notice the stuff that we need to change, the stuff that isn't right. Whereas we know that when we are grateful, when we are noticing things that are good, it influences that reticular activating system, that neural net. So it pays more attention to the good stuff. So it just generally feels like there's more good stuff in our life that improves the quality of our lives, that helps us to feel lighter, to feel better. It's just overall, it's really, really helpful. So here's some ideas about how to start. The most often quoted technique is to use a gratitude journal. Take a few moments at the same time every day to record what you're grateful for in the last 24 hours. However small, write it down, think about it. Over time, this gets easier and you'll experience greater benefit. So again, it's just one of those things. And of course, we can use all the techniques in the training course to help us to embed these habits and over time get better at it and make it easier. Yeah. So another thing is say thank you, out loud or in your head as you go about your day. Try to look for things to be grateful for. And it can be very easy. And I know I'm really guilty of this, go into the supermarket and get really irritated that there's no apples from Britain, they're all from South Africa. And I'm all noticing, the carbon footprint and And of course, that's valid thoughts. But if we're always feeling frustrated, then not always in a position to do anything about it, and then it's lowering my mood and it's lowering my capacity, and it's not always helpful. So just noticing that there is food in the supermarkets, that there is a road to walk on, that the streets are clean, that there's all the good stuff, and just being grateful for it. It really does improve our mood. And a useful thing to do can be just a really simple little technique that I'd invite you to do now. Just first thing is to do yourself a mood rating. And a mood rating is really easy to do. It comes from cognitive behavioral therapy. So if you take a moment now, if 0 is I'm super, super miserable, and 100 is I'm so happy you're going to have to peel me off the nearest wall, what number are you right now? And write down the first number that comes into your head. Don't overanalyze it, because when you do, you'll find yourself writing the number you ought to be feeling. So, it's just a very general thing. You can't get it wrong. So just write a number down. Now, set a timer for 1 minute and write down all the things that you can think of that you're grateful for and focus on them. Don't just write the list. Think about how great it is, what good things you like about maybe your work or your loved ones, about your home, about your animals, that you've got a car, that your body works, that there's food in the fridge, there's clean water, all of those things. And just think about them. Then when that timer goes off, give yourself another mood rating, just out of curiosity. And what we know is over time, these things do help us to just feel happier. So another thing is take it away for a minute. Think about how you'd feel if you didn't have a car to drive. However cronky the one you've got is, imagine how you'd feel without one. If, your body didn't work properly. If, you couldn't walk, or you couldn't see, or you couldn't hear, or if you didn't have a house, or you didn't have a job, what would that be like? And that can help us to feel grateful for what we have. And of course, that doesn't mean we don't pay, we may want to make some changes or notice the things that aren't so great, but getting it all in balance and feeling grateful is really helpful. Spend time thinking about the things you like. You know that we are hardwired to notice threats, so it can be easy to get into the habit of noticing things that are wrong rather than right. But try spend time thinking about the people you love and the things that make you happy. What do you love about your children, your boss, or your neighbour? Why are you glad to know them? Just think about the details of that. So just some easy techniques that can improve our emotional well-being. Hopefully that helps. If you've made it this far and you're still watching, thank you so much and all the best.